I am Sarah. I read as Sora the Intuitive for Sky Messages by Sora. I am a tarot reader who specializes in past life readings. I also teach and mentor the tarot. I have two journals, one for learning the tarot and one for more learning yourself and deepening the connection with your deck. That one's a collaboration with Killer Pancake, who makes a couple of the decks I'll be reviewing. The reason I started this channel, and specifically this series, the tarot review series, is that I really want people to be able to have a connection. I want anyone who wants to do the tarot to be able to learn it. And a lot of times people get really frustrated because the first deck that they start using, they don't really connect with. And so I'm hoping that instead of getting frustrated or spending a lot of money on decks that they then realize they don't want, people can sort of start to learn what their style is, what theme they're looking for, what kind of imagery works for them, and help people find the right decks for them. I do believe that if there is a tarot deck out there, there is an audience for it. And if there is somebody who wants to learn, then there's definitely a deck for them. So this won't have star ratings. This won't be about what's good and bad. It'll be about the details, such as the guidebook, a level that it's good for, like basic to advanced. It will be, how close it is to the Rider-Waite or the Tarot de Marseille, or the Thoth for those who prefer that. And it will just give people a look and hopefully help them start to begin their journey. Or for those of us who have been on their journey for a while, but are thinking about new decks and testing out different things, give them a preview. So there are some of the decks behind me, but if there are any you're interested in, let me know. And let's get started. For today's deck review, we are going to be looking at the Marigold deck, and I will put the description and information on how to find the deck in the description. I am borrowing this deck from a friend, so I do not have the box, but it is a standard box. The guidebook is digital, but it is really beautiful, really well done. It has a picture of each card and really good details. So one of the things I love about this deck is that its aces are not boring. One of my things that I always kind of have about the Rider-Waite is that the aces are just kind of a hand holding whatever the suit is. And these have really beautiful details instead. In terms of the color, the black, gold, and white, I love it. I go a couple of different ways. There are a couple decks that are only 2 or 3 colors. And with this kind of design and illustration, I have absolutely no problem with it. In fact, I love it. I think it actually brings you more detail because instead of focusing on things like color, you can look at what's really going on. Here with the Devil card, you see that he's gotten into the other's thoughts and has brought that sort of health issues, or like mental health issues, and pulling him into things like addiction. And you get that because you're not darting around, you're looking at what's going on. One of the interesting things is that the cups are called cups, but they're represented by these halved skulls, which, is a valid drinking vessel, I guess. The wands are plants, mostly flowers. Here. The swords are swords. And then the rings, instead of being like coins, are actually on the fingers. and you get the different, almost like mudras going on. It is a largely Rider-Waite style deck, but it definitely takes on its own view of it. So the meanings are there and easy to find, but it's not just a redo in different colors or kind of made to fit the theme. They do such a good job with the hands. I think of this, I was telling the lady I borrowed this from, my friend, that I call this the Scorpio deck. Again, the name of it is the Marigold deck, but there's just something about the energy with the black and the gold, and kind of that not being afraid of the taboo, which is the Scorpio thing, without it going into the stereotypical, where that means that they're all obsessed with death and all that. I don't think that has anything to do with what they were going for, but I just really love that. Some court cards. These are really beautiful. This is a fantastic tower. The lightning is there. The definite clearing of anything that was not stable and firmly grounded and going to stay safe will be cleared out. But the things that are supposed to stay, the really solid things, will stay there. So it's such a beautiful depiction. The Three of Swords. I love this Eight of Swords. You usually see the maiden all tied up with a blindfold with 8 swords around her. And it's that feeling of trapped and helplessness that in some ways we do to ourselves. The blindfold means that she can't see the way out. And because she can feel the rope, but she doesn't realize that it's loose and she can get out of it. So I love this because it has that same trapped feeling. But there's just flowers to walk through if you're more aware. If you open up to the awareness of it, see that ace. It's simple, but it's still really beautiful. It's not just like, look, here's my pentacle. Ace of Wands. I'm not making, well, I guess I am making fun of the aces where they're just holding it. It's more that I feel like more meaning can be pulled from it in this way. So I would say that this deck is probably best for those of you who've been reading for a while. It's not that it's a bad deck to learn on. It'd probably be a great deck to learn on, but I do feel like having the basics will help you. So I think more readers with moderate experience. And of course, if you're really drawn, if you like the spooky without it being the horror, this is a great deck. I'd say it's good for most levels, but definitely I think it would help to have some basics. If you're used to Rider-Waite, I think it's a good deck for you. So it's got a lot of that sort of, it definitely comes from that line without trying to force a theme onto a Rider-Waite deck. So we'll do a quick introduction to deck reading. The first will say, tell us about yourself as a deck. So that's the moon. To me, that says that it will help uncover illusions, help us integrate, kind of work with our shadow self, and start to see beyond what we just see right in front of us and start to get a bigger picture. What can we learn about ourselves with this deck? It's the Ten of Swords. It's an interesting one because it's about leaving bad situations and bad situations ending. We don't always make the decision to leave. Sometimes the decision is made for us. And I love this here because it's like it will teach us to be moving forward, to go for the new paths, the things that are better for us, the things that are in our best interest. And finally, we'll look at the best way to use this deck. The Queen of Rings. So the queens are the water element. They're the moms of the deck. They're nurturing and kind, but also protective. The rings would be the pentacles, which are the earth element, and we get kind of stability and loyalty and routine. But in terms of how to use it, it feels like it's very pragmatic, without denying the emotions. You know, a lot of times we talk about objectivity and detachment, but sometimes to really work through things, we need the compassion, we need the emotion of it. So here this says to allow your whole self to be part of the reading when you were working with it. You know, allow the logic to come in, but also don't be afraid to tap into those feelings. So it'd be a great deck for shadow work, but also for any kind of inner mental health type work. And there are tips for things like that actually in my social media. And if you have any questions about like how to get started using tarot for your mental health, feel free to put them in the comments. That is actually one of the classes I teach. But I just like to do a reading, like the introduction reading in these, so that you get a feel for how the deck reads and how you like the energy. Again, I'm still kind of new to these, so as I get better, the video quality will get better. The voiceover, I guess you would call it, the reading will get a little bit easier, the flow of the video, I mean. But let me know what other decks you would like to see or what questions you have about this one. Thank you so much.